Okay, so what is your name? Where are you from?
My name's Randy. I'm from Portland, Maine. My trail name is Sven.
Sven.
Yeah,
How'd you get Sven?
it's a very long story. You
Okay.
sure you want to know this video?
Is there? I mean, is there a short version?
Sort of. Uh, 40 years ago, I met a hiker from Sweden in the Mahuziks. The guy had legs like stovepipes. I asked him how far he had gone that day, and he said 3 shelters, and the Mahuziks are 8 miles apart. The guy, he was just a monster. And I have a friend that I hiked with all the time, and I used to hike a lot faster than I do now. And I was a faster hiker than Mark was. And any time that I got a little too fast, he would yell out, "Okay, Sven, slow it down," because I told him the story about the Swedish guy. So that's where the name came from. So it is a long story.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it's a good name. It's a good trail name.
It is.
And so, a lot of people at this point in the trail, we're only like 100 and something miles in,
Yeah.
don't have trail names. You've got one because you've done a lot of hiking in the past,
Yes.
including, I hear, the Appalachian Trail.
Yes, in 2021, I flip-flopped on the Appalachian Trail. Got to Virginia, got Lyme disease, went home to Maine, got treated, went back on southbound, and finished in, let me see, it was like the 10th of December. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I have lots of questions, but first of all, the Lyme disease. I just was talking to somebody, Festival, who I mentioned, who got Lyme disease. What was your experience with that?
I didn't get really sick. I had a lot of muscular arthritic symptoms from it, and as soon as I took the antibiotic the second day, I was feeling better. And I know that isn't true of a lot of people, and I have a lot of sympathy for them
Yeah.
that suffer with it. But I really didn't, other than the symptoms until I got diagnosed and treated, I didn't have a problem at all.
Yeah. Good. Well, that's great. Yeah, I know a lot of people get it out here.
Yes, they
So,
do.
okay. So, what was the flip flop experience like? How was your AT experience?
Well, I think it's great. It's a great way to take pressure off the trail, because if you get people flip-flopping, starting in the middle, going south, and then flip-flopping, or flip-flopping in general, it takes a lot of that heavy pressure that we see in the southern part of the trail off of it. So it's good that way. I liked it because, I'm not a super social person, and I did the southern part from April to the middle of the summer, and I actually enjoyed it, which I was real surprised about. And then I flipped, and on the way back, it was almost no one. I had shelters to myself. I hiked by myself, and believe it or not, I enjoyed that too.
Really, you weren't getting lonely?
No, I don't when I'm out here. I'm perfectly happy hiking along day after day and seeing someone once every couple days. I'm happy with that.
Wow. That's yeah. A lot of people are not that way. A lot of people need a
I know a lot
group.
of people aren't, and that's just the way they are. People are the way they are, and you either can live with that or you can't.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, I want to come back to your AT through hike, but briefly, what are you doing back out here right now?
This is the snow's not out in Maine in the mountains and New Hampshire, so the backpacking possibilities, unless you're winter hiking, are limited. So I come down here. I like to come down here in the spring and do a couple week long section hike just to get in shape and ready for the summer. By the time I go back, the season will have started, and I'll be in halfway decent shape to go out there and start hiking in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I hear you've got plans for the.
yeah, my wife and I are going to Estes Park with some friends in August, and I figured it would be a good way to acclimate to the altitude. And I thought it might be a good time to try part of the Colorado Trail, which I'm thinking about doing. But
Totally.
at my age, all these plans are very tentative.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so now the things I really want to ask you. This is an interesting opportunity because most of the people I talk to out here are like doing a through hike for the first time, and I want to know like what they're afraid of,
Yeah.
how it's going so far. But I want to hear like first of all, what advice do you have for people who are doing it right now?
Start slow, where you don't get injured. Travel light, where you don't increase the possibilities of injury, and just enjoy yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Just do the trail the hike that you want to do. I won't even repeat the hike your own hike, you know. But it's super important that you do that, and it's not just so that you enjoy it. It's so that you don't press yourself to do something that might get you injured, you know. So it's really important because the first couple weeks are nothing when you think about the totality of the trail. So just lay back, take it easy, get used to it, and then you got the rest of 5 or 6 months to enjoy it.
Totally. That's some advice I could use right now. I need to be listening to that. So, what did you make any mistakes on your trip? Like, did you listen to that advice, or did you learn any other lessons?
Yeah, I mean, it took me about 2 weeks before I hit 15 miles a day, which is usually my average. Because when I did the trail, I was 67 at the time, and it took me about 2 weeks to do that. And I think that was a good for me, a good way to get into the trail, and I didn't have any real injuries besides the Lyme, so I must have done something right, you know. And by the time I finished, I was doing, depending on logistics and things like that, I was doing 15 to 20, you know. So I thought that was a good pace for the trail, and
Seems like a pretty reasonable pace.
yeah.
Yeah. So, were there? I mean, do you recall any mishaps, any mistakes, any
Any
lessons?
mishaps besides breaking 4 pole sections
How'd you do
on my
that?
hiking poles? Yeah, I broke a lot of pole sections, and it was really an inconvenience because I was carrying a tent that required two poles to set up, so I had to jury rig that every night until I got another pole section. So
Hmm.
there are things like that, and but real mishaps, no, no. I think I sprained my ankle once going into Fontana, and I spent 2 nights at the resort there until it healed enough for me to go back out again.
Hmm.
That was really the only other injury I can think of. And it was a very light sprain because obviously if it healed in 2 days, it had to have been. So,
And I don't know, like, what your experience with trips like this was before you did the AT, but did the trail meet your expectations? That you had going into
yeah,
it.
I had hiked a lot of the sections. I have a friend down here in North Carolina, and I had hiked section hiking with him a lot, and I had hiked Maine twice in its entirety before I did the through hike. So I had a good idea of what to expect. Some of the middle states I had less experience with, and they were a surprise. Pennsylvania is always a surprise to everyone.
And how so?
It's rock. It's basically a rocky ridgeline, and it's really annoying. And
Hmm.
a lot of the water sources are half a mile down off the ridgeline, and you have to go down to them. That gets to be old. Pennsylvania is almost as long as Maine is, and so you're dealing with this for a very, very long time. And just to clear things up, when you read the blogs and people say the rocks stop in the middle of Pennsylvania, don't believe them. They start in New York State, they go through northern New Jersey, they go through the entirety of Pennsylvania, except for that one little river valley there in the middle where it's pretty good for about 20 miles. And then they extend about halfway into Maryland also. So just remember that when you go to Pennsylvania and close to it. But
So, do you feel like a lot of people can be really changed by their experience on the trail.
mhm.
You being an older gentleman when you started the trail, do you feel like you were changed by it? And also, I mean, you had so much experience before that this probably wasn't like,
Yeah.
completely new.
Well, I was used to hiking in the woods and backpacking in the woods, so that part of it was pretty well set. And even though I was older when I did it, it has a profound impact on you as far as you seeing yourself as someone who can start something and then finish it. If you have a problem with that and you can get out here and do the AT, it'll change the way that you think about yourself. You'll realize that yes, I can finish things. Yes, I can do things that are hard. And I think there are a lot of people they don't know about that. They worry about that. And this trail will teach you whether you can or not.
And that seems like one of the biggest keys to success in anything.
Yes, it
So,
is. Persistence. Yep, it is.
yeah, it's funny how something so simple as a backpacking trip, albeit a very long one, can translate to, success in any other area of life. Wow. Yeah, cool. So so why so I think that that kind of answers this question as well, but why do you think uh people come out here and do this? So many people come out and do it, and why, I guess, or a better question is, why do you think it's important that they come out and do it?
Well, why did they get on the Mayflower? Why did they get into the wagon trains to go west? They did it because it was a challenge, and there are a certain number of people in society that that's what they look for, and they'll seize any opportunity for it. Some people aren't. Some people grow up and stay in the same town they were born in. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but there's a certain personality that's never enough. And so I think that's just an avenue for that type of person to live their life in today's world where there aren't a whole lot of challenges left.
Do you think you're that type of person, and is that why you did it?
Yeah, I've moved around a lot. I didn't stay where I grew up, so I guess you could say I am. Yeah.
Was it the challenge that you hoped it would be?
Yes, it was. It was very challenging. I mean, there's so many times on the trail when you don't think you're going to be able to finish, and if you can get through those times and then move on and finish it, you've done something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So I'll ask one final question. Do you have one happy memory from your AT through hike?
One happy memory. Yes, I do. My last day in the Smokies, I walked 19 miles in the pouring rain because they shut down the last shelter because of bear activity and we couldn't stop. And got out at Davenport, and my friend Mark, that I've hiked with my entire life, was waiting for me there. He took me home to his home in Waynesville, and him and his wife made me dinner. I got a shower. I warmed up. That was a good memory.
Relief.
Yeah,
Yeah, relief from the, brief relief from the challenge.
yeah, it
Okay,
was.
I lied. I have one more question.
Go ahead.
What do you think the meaning of life is?
It's whatever you make it, whatever you think it is. That's a very personal question. It's not going to be the same for everyone. And for me, my meaning of life probably is to get through this world and this lifetime, and not hurt too many people, because we all hurt somebody. We all hurt people time and time again. Some people take pleasure in it, but I just want to get through this life with hurting as few people as possible.
Yeah, like Don Quixote always thinking he's doing the righteous thing, but
Yeah.
causing chaos in reality.
Right, right.
So try not to be too much of a Quixote.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Randy.
You're welcome.